Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time, then welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. As you can see by the title, it is quite a different video to what I would usually share, but I definitely think it was time to share my personal experience dealing with a miscarriage. It is very common for us women, unfortunately. I do not wish it on anyone, and before I start this video, I first want to speak to anyone who has dealt with a loss. It is the worst feeling ever, and I'm so sorry for your loss. And I really hope this video can give you some kind of encouragement to lift you up, for you to see that it is possible for you to have a child after losing one. And again, I pray for you. I pray for God to strengthen you and comfort you. I hope that your family and friends give you the support that you need during this time. Please, if you feel that you need to speak to someone, if you need to counselling, if you need to move in with someone, if you need to talk, please talk. I'm here. If you want to contact me, I'll leave my email in the description. If you want to email me, I'm happy to speak to you. I'm happy to share my experience, and I really pray that you can move on from this. So I think I'm going to start by saying first, most of you probably wouldn't have guessed that I had faced something like this, because as I shared the other day on my Instagram, at this time last year when it happened, I was very much still quite active on social media, especially on my posts, not really on my stories, but on my posts. And for me, I am the kind of person personally, when I am going through things, or you know, things are quite difficult, keeping busy and sticking to the normal things that I would usually do really helps me to deal with what I'm personally going through, if that makes sense. So please don't feel that you have to deal with things the way that I dealt with it, but I just want to say that it helped me, although I will explain everything that I went through and how I was dealing with it, but I just want to say that in the beginning. So where do we start? So me and James decided to start trying for a baby the end of 2019, and you guys know we've been married for, this year is going to be 8 years. We're currently 7 plus 8 in a couple months literally, and we were so excited when it came to that time, as we already planned and said that we would wait some years before trying for a baby. And so to get to that time, that point when you're both ready, it is just the best feeling ever. I had come off contraception about a year beforehand, or a year and a half beforehand, just because I wanted to make sure that when we were ready to have a child, there was going to be nothing that was going to delay it, to prolong the process. Of course, you know, sometimes it's quick, you get pregnant quickly, sometimes take a few months, sometimes it take a few years. But I really just wanted everything to be out my system, because I had been on contraception for a while. I just wanted to make sure that I was clear from that and nothing was gonna impede me from conceiving. So the end of the year came, and of course I started taking my supplements. I started taking everything that I needed to take. I was working out, just making sure that I was fit and healthy, eating well, drinking water all the time, as you do, as you guys know that I do. So all of those things we were planning, and I was making sure that I was physically and emotionally ready for it, which we were. So because we were planning, I decided to track. So every month I was tracking my period and the time that, of course, I was fertile. And we were literally, of course, trying in the window that we were fertile. So every month was going by, and I was like, okay, 1 month we're eventually gonna get pregnant. So it happened quite soon. So it was the beginning of March, and a few days prior to my period, I felt different. There was different symptoms that I was feeling. I'll probably go into more detail in another video, but I just felt different very quickly. And in my head, I just had a feeling that I was pregnant. So I was at home with James after work, and I decided to get a first response pregnancy test. And I didn't tell him. I just went to the toilet and just took the test, because I just thought, you know, I don't know. So I took the test the day before my period, and it was positive. And I don't have words to explain how happy I was. I was over the moon. I was like, James, James, James. I ran into the living room, shared with him the news. We were both just so excited. I called my twin sister. Honestly, I was just so excited. Let's fast forward the story. So at that point, of course, I was already 1 month. So of course, when you find out that you're pregnant, if you've missed that period, you're already 4 weeks pregnant. So I was already 4 weeks pregnant. I was so excited. I was just, I can't explain it. That's what I just can't explain. We were just so over the moon. We just felt, you know, we're finally starting our family. I was just so happy. I was just thinking about everything, thinking about what we're gonna have, a boy or a girl. Oh, I can't explain the joy. Yeah, so it was March, I'm just looking at the pictures now, March the 10th when I took my pregnancy test. So there we go, I took 3 pregnancy tests, and they all came back positive. So I think in total I took about 5 over the first 2 days. So that was March the 10th, and I was so excited, over the moon. Now, because we had, I think that's a few weeks after we went into lockdown, end of March. So at the end of the month when we went into lockdown, I had to inform my employer that I was pregnant, because of obviously lockdown and coronavirus, and I just didn't feel comfortable working from basically being at work. I wanted to work from home, so I was able to from then. So from then on, I was working from home, taking things very easily, being at home, exercising at home, you know. And I was even more like, I was making sure that I was watching everything that I ate. I was making sure that I was hydrated. I was just doing everything that I could, taking my supplements and whatever. So I was just excited. We started planning things, you know. I started buying things. It was just so over the moon. So March and April, I was fine. I was just getting through the pregnancy, so excited, just taking things easy at home. And I would say the only symptom that I did have was tiredness, but that tiredness was to a different level, because I wasn't as tired as I was then as I was with Joelle. I was tired. I would literally have to nap 3 times a day. That's how bad it was. So I had tiredness and I had headaches. Those are the only 2 things I had. Everything else was absolutely fine. You wouldn't even think that I was pregnant. Everything was fine until the 30th of April. So I'll never forget that day. I was working from home, and that morning I specifically started work a little bit earlier, because we had a call about something that we were implementing. I don't really remember now, but I know it was for the incoming new year group. So I think we started at 7:30 or 7:45, something like that. And I remember on Instagram, I think I even shared a post that morning, because my skin was just glowing, and I was using specific skin products which I shared that it was just doing so well. So I was in the living room on the table, and on my call, absolutely fine. I had just finished sharing my part of the call, sharing what I had to share, talking to the team. As soon as I stopped, my colleague took over and started talking, took over the meeting. I felt this, at this point, it didn't feel like a terrible cramp. It just felt like a cramp, and I felt like a gush come out. And when you're pregnant and you think of anything or feel anything with cramps or anything gushing out, your automatic thought is, oh no, please don't let this be what I think it is. And I was on the call, I was on the video call. I closed my laptop, I didn't even say anything to anyone. I closed my laptop and I ran to the toilet, and I was like, James, I ran to the toilet. I didn't even see anything yet. The cramps wasn't bad yet. I just felt the cramp and I felt the gush. And I went into the toilet, and at this time, I believe I was wearing panty liners anyway, because they kind of say I've been told to kind of wear, I was told to wear like panty liners by a friend during pregnancy, because sometimes you will have discharge. Sorry, my eye. And I went to the toilet, took down my knickers, sorry, and there was just blood on my panty liner, but a lot of it. And by that date, so that was and I believe it was a Thursday. I haven't checked, but I believe it was a Thursday. Let me check. Yeah, I was right. See, I didn't even check. I just remembered everything that happened that day. Checked, so I took down my underwear and just saw blood. And in the blood, I saw a little clot. And then I was just like, James. He came in and I was like, it's happening. Like, I didn't say miscarriage or anything. I was just like, it's happening. And I was just in tears. When I tell you, I was in tears. You know when someone cries from inside, like within? I was crying. And he called the ambulance. He called 999, called the ambulance to kind of tell them what's happening, what to do. Whilst I was just crying, I was hysterically crying. And at that point, I was feeling more cramps and more bleeding. So on that day, I was 11 weeks pregnant, 11 weeks exactly. And the following Thursday was going to be my first scan. So I was looking forward to that scan so much, the 3-month scan. I was looking forward to it so much. And it just happened a week before that this happened. So at that point, I don't even know how to explain how I felt. I just don't wish that on anyone. I don't wish that on anyone. I can't explain how I felt. So we called the ambulance and they said someone's gonna come, but because of coronavirus and blah blah blah, because it was obviously, that was the beginning of lockdown, everything was peaked, everyone was busy, everywhere was like, NHS was, so they said they were coming, but we called them back and just said, don't worry, we're gonna make our way to the hospital. I had to go and get a large pad, just change, you know, to get ready to go to the hospital. And there were so many thoughts going on in my head. So many thoughts going on in my head. I was praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. I was praying in my head, whilst we're in the cab on our way. Because although that had happened, I believe in miracles. I believe that all is possible. I believed that all can be well. So I was just confessing positivity. I was confessing that everything is going to be fine. I'm just bleeding because of, you know, sometimes you do bleed in pregnancy. I was just confessing that the baby is fine, the baby is fine. And, you know, James is holding my hand. I was holding his hand really tight. And his face, he just didn't know what to say during the whole time. Then we got there, got to the hospital, went in and told them. Then I had to be seen. And then I went into the room. James couldn't come in, he had to wait outside. Then I was just crying. I said to the lady, I'm bleeding, you know. And by that time, I had bled more and I was having more cramps. And she was like, don't worry, lovely, we're going to check you, It could just be bleeding, because, you know, sometimes you bleed in pregnancy. So I went to sit down, and because I was 11 weeks, she could just use the normal thing that you use for the scan on your stomach. So she started that, and I could see she was there for a while because she couldn't basically see anything, of course. Then she said kindly, and in a way that kind of didn't want to make it seem obvious, she said, I'm just going to do the internal scan. And I was like, of course, do what you need to do. she put it in to do the internal scan, because the internal scan obviously is more accurate, you can see a lot more. She was there for a while, and then she looked at me, and then she looked at me, and then she said, I just remember how she looked at me. I remember how she looked at me. She said, and obviously she was just, she said to me, I'm so sorry, but there's no baby in the sack. There's no baby there. Just bursted out in tears. She gave me some time. She was just like, I'm so sorry, she gave me some time. I slowly got ready. Then they brought me to another room by myself, not where everyone is waiting. And then someone else came after to basically explain everything that happened. And that's when they kind of explained miscarriages and what happens, because at this point I didn't really know a lot of people that experienced miscarriages. I didn't know too much about it. I didn't know how common it was. I didn't know anything about miscarriages basically. And this lady took me into the room to basically explain everything to me, everything. And she explained it's not my fault, because in my head I kept thinking, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? And she said it's very common. 1 in 4 women have miscarriages. It's not because of anything. It's just basically, without using the technical terms, is that the baby, in the beginning, the process, the baby would just, like the baby just wasn't forming properly. Like the process that is supposed to happen just didn't happen properly, completely, which is why the pregnancy terminates, because things didn't go as it should. Not because of my fault, not because of anyone. Well, obviously she also shared, of course, there are certain women who unfortunately do face miscarriages because of maybe their lifestyle, of things that they do, you know, things that they take, etc. But I wasn't in that bracket. I was not in that bracket at all, and she reassured me that this one was just an unfortunate, common loss. Didn't help, of course. Then of course we had to talk about how we were going to, because obviously I was bleeding, but some of the baby probably still inside. So then she had to talk to me about all the procedures and what I should, you know, do. That basically the ways to basically terminate it completely, to get everything out. I felt so numb. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. So that was what happened. So we lost our baby at 11 weeks, a week before our 3-month appointment, and it was the worst feeling that I've ever felt before. It was by far the hardest thing that I had gone through, because you've lost your child. After that, I think a few days later, I can't really remember, I think it was the following week, I think it was a few days later, I had to come in, or was it the following day? I don't remember. My mind was all over the place. I obviously had to get the vacuum for them to do the vacuum procedure, which is when they kind of vacuum everything basically out, which was very uncomfortable and just a horrible process. And after that, it was basically official that your baby is gone, that your baby's not here. And so now I'm going to talk about how I kind of dealt with it after that, because that was like at the end of it. After that procedure, you are in a lot of pain. You have cramps, terrible cramps. And I was basically in bed for that week. I was in bed every day for that week, and I was crying every day. I was in bed all day. I had the light off all day. I don't think I was eating, but my sister was always checking up on me, and Deborah was always checking up on me. My friends were checking up on me, but I have to just say, like, Deborah, my really, really good friend, so I'm getting so emotional because I just remember how I was feeling some moments are really hard because you don't understand why. And as human beings, you want to understand why things happened. So when someone tells you there was nothing you could do differently, there was nothing that you could have done, there was nothing that you should have not done to avoid this, I can't work with that. What could, like, do you know what I mean? Then of course the fears of it happening again, because there are a small percentage of women who unfortunately have more than one miscarriage, and then the thoughts, you know, the thoughts, is it going to happen again? Am I going to be able to conceive? When am I going to be able to conceive? We really wanted to start a family now. Is it going to take a long time? All of those things go in your head. You start to think, why? God, why? You know, I'm a Christian. I'm faithful to you. I'm healthy. I'm fit. Like, so many thoughts go in your mind, and that was what was consuming me. And I would just, the first thing I would want to say is, if any of your friends have gone through anything like that or going through anything like that, always reach out for them. There were times when Deborah messaged me and I just finished crying. Well, I was just about to cry because she was checking up on me every day. And I appreciate that so much. So much. So please, if your friend or your family member going through anything like that, and I know it's awkward because sometimes you don't know what to say. Even if you don't know what to say, just ask how are they doing? Do they need anything? Or, you know, send a positive word. I don't know. Just reach out. So I felt like I had to have that week of mourning, that week of tears, crying in bed, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to speak to anyone. James, on the other hand, he of course was broken, but I can see he was trying to be strong for me. He was very positive. He was sharing positive words, praying for me and being really positive, which also really helped. Of course my husband really helped, so I didn't really mention much of him, but my husband was amazing. But of course it was a loss for him as well. So coming out of that now, it kind of got to a point when I had to accept what the doctors had said to me, that Desmond, this was not your fault, there was nothing you could do about it. But Desmond, you were able to get pregnant, so it means you can get pregnant again. And that was with me, when I go through challenging times, when I go through difficult times, I hold on to the word of God. I hold on to the word of God, or positive word, and my faith. So when they said, Desiree, you were able to conceive, therefore you will be able to conceive again. And I said, and I feel like after that week, after a week and a half, I was like, we will have a child, we will have our family, we will. And that is the kind of person that I am. I go through things, everyone goes through challenges, and I feel like I do allow my time to have some time to deal with it and feel in that moment. But usually my faith and my mind clicks in to tell me, Desiree, it will work out. You can do this. And I believe it was the voice of God that was telling me, Desiree, you will have your family. So what helped me a lot, the first thing that helped me a lot, was watching other people's experiences online. Some people might think that wasn't good for you, that wouldn't be good, but for me it was excellent. Watching videos of having babies after losing a child, so having a baby after a miscarriage, how to have a baby after miscarriage, how was the process to conceive after losing, after having a miscarriage. And I remember watching a specific video, and someone shared that they got pregnant a month after they lost their child. And another friend that I know, I think she said she got pregnant a month after having a miscarriage, or 2 months. I think it was a month. So I stopped looking at the negative side, the fact that I lost a child. And for some people, again, so everyone is different. So for some people, they need that time to mourn. They need that time to deal with it, to heal from that loss. But for me, I feel like I had come to understand very quickly that there was nothing I can do. And my hope was to try again. My hope was for our next baby to be okay, for everything to be okay. So I was like, when in my head I was like, okay, when I'm fully recovered from this surgery, from like removing everything, I'm ready to start trying again. And I put all of my energy in hope. So sometimes you can put your energy, all of your strength, your energy, you know, in the loss, in the feeling and how you're feeling, which is absolutely fine, because you need that time. You need that time. But for me, I felt like I had that time, and I was ready to move on. I was ready to be positive. I was ready to try again. So I said to James, you know, and I've also read a lot that after you've had a miscarriage, in those first couple of months, you are very fertile, more than after 3 months. So I said to James, I think I bled for a month. I think I bled for a month or 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks I bled for. 2.5 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks or 3 weeks I bled for after the surgery. Not surgery, after the procedure. And I said, James, I'm ready to start again. I'm ready to start again. If it happens this month, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it happens the following month, it happens. If it doesn't, I was just positive and thinking it's going to happen. So we're going to do our part. We're going to pray. We're going to do our part, you know, to try and conceive and see what happens. So I feel like my mood and everything lifted because I was focused on the possibility of us having another child. And prayer. I was praying all the time. I was asking God to comfort me, to give me the strength, to allow me to have the opportunity to conceive again. You know, I was reading positive stories. I was watching positive videos, testimonials of people conceiving after a loss. And it was just, I just felt encouraged and motivated and hopeful that this can happen again. So I had my miscarriage on the 30th of April. May came along. June came along. July came along. So when July came along now, I felt differently prior to my period, days coming up to my period. So I had like kind of lightning shock feels below, and I had this, it wasn't cramps, it was a different kind of cramp feeling. And I usually don't get really bad period pains. I don't even have cramps prior to my period. So I was like, this is different. So again, I thought, let me take a test. So I took the test, and it's actually between my sister doing my hair, and it was July the 6th. It was a very faint line. So let me try and show you. There we go. There was a second line. So that was in July. And of course later on that night, that was July the 6th. July the 6th, I took a test and it was positive. I took a few more later, and then the following day I took some more. So again, I was pregnant. So let's say, so May is 1 month, June was 2 months. So I got pregnant in June, and I found out, of course, that I was pregnant in July. So I got pregnant 2 months after our loss. And because of our loss the first time, which is probably why some of you guys are wondering why me and James went to so many scans, I was so nervous. I was even more prayerful. I was just more, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I had faith. I was like, everything's gonna be fine this time. In Jesus' name, everything's gonna be fine. But of course, those doubts tried to come here and there, and I kept confessing positivity that baby's going to be fine. Baby's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. And to make sure that everything was fine, I promise you, we went to about 7 private scans. 7 private scans. I went to a scan when I was 6 weeks pregnant. I went to a scan just before my 3-month scan. I had another scan just before my 20-week scan. I had one after my 20-week scan. I had one at 26 weeks. I had so many private scans because I wanted to make sure that the baby was okay. So each scan that I went to and we paid for, of course they check everything. They check if the heart's okay, if the brain's okay, if the body's okay, if they're measuring okay. Just because of the loss, I wanted to make sure, because in my head I'm like, maybe I would have noticed something different, even though I probably wouldn't have, but I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. Thank God everything was. And you know, in March we gave birth, and in March, the month that we found out that we were having our first baby before, is the month that we had our son Joel. So God is so good. We are so grateful, we are so blessed, and I'm so thankful that I was given another opportunity to have a child. So this video, so the purpose of this video, there's so many reasons why I wanted to share this video. So the purpose of this video, and the reason why I wanted to share this video, is, as I said in the beginning, there is hope. And I know if you are currently going through this, or you've experienced the loss, it can be hard to see that. It could be hard to even think, can this happen? Or that fear, or that worriness, or you know, is so overwhelming that you're so scared to even try again, you know. Or maybe you've had more than one. This is a message to say, do not give up. Do not give up and keep trying. You will pass this stage that you're currently in. If you're currently facing it or currently going through the healing process of it, you will get through it. Please be around your friends, be around your family. But again, give yourself time to mourn. Give yourself time to deal with that loss. If you need to take 6 months, if you need to take a year, if you need to take 2 years, if you need to take 3 years, take the time that you need to deal with that. If you're like me and you know, you've dealt with it in a few months, a few weeks, and you're hopeful to try again when you are ready. If you feel like after a few weeks you're ready to try, a few months you're ready to try, then try. There is nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you have forgotten about your loss, or it didn't really mean too much for you. For me, the encouragement, or the thought of thinking that I can again, that I can have a child, is what gave me the strength to move on, if that makes sense. So thinking that it could happen again was what gave me the strength. So it's the faith that I had that it will happen, and I will have a child, and I will conceive, is what gave me the strength to not allow my past experience to keep me behind, if that makes sense. So whenever you feel like you're ready to try again, try again. There is hope. If you have tried again and tried again, it's taken a while, do everything that you can do physically. Go and see a doctor. Get yourself checked. Get a hubby checked, because sometimes people just think it's just women. Get a hubby checked. Get some advice. Get some professional advice. There is a way out. And I'm praying, and also after this prayer, and also after I upload this, after this prayer and after I upload this video, I'm going to be praying for you women here who have experienced the loss, who's trying to conceive and it's taken some time to conceive. My thoughts and prayers are with you, and in Jesus' name it will happen. Your time will come and you will be blessed with your beautiful baby. If there's any questions that you have and that you would like me to answer, please share your questions below. I'd be happy to answer them. If you would like some more advice, some more personal advice, or you just want to speak to me, then email me. My email is also below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.